Great week we always look forward to every single year. Excited that it's here. Excited that we get to get back to the Cotton Bowl with a more normal atmosphere. Certainly missed that in the epic kind of clash last year. And so, we say it every year, but I think it can't go underappreciated. One of the best parts of this job is getting to coach, play, compete in this game. No question about it. It's I think one that any time you're a player and you decide to come to Oklahoma, or you're a staff member and you're lucky enough to get a chance to come work here, it's one of the first things that cross your mind. It was one of when Bob hired me 7 years ago now. It was one of the very first things when he called me and told me he was going to offer me the job. I remember it being one of the very first things that crossed my mind, as I get to coach in this game. And so don't take it for granted ever. We've had a lot of fun, a lot of great games over the years, but certainly one I don't ever take for granted, because you realize how special it is each and every year. And I'm sure this one will be no different. So I'm excited to get down there and compete against a good Texas football team, very good team that's playing very well right now. And excited about our guys, our preparation, our climb, where we're headed. And we'll look forward to having a great week, getting down to Dallas and kicking it off. Casey's done a great job. Obviously, we know that family very well. Their history here, their history in this area. Knew Casey pretty well going up through high school. Had a great relationship. Really enjoyed the kid. Really fun getting to know him, his dad, his brother. Just great people. So, listen, it's our rivals. So you never wish too much good upon them. But it has been fun for me to see Casey do well. It really has. I mean, it's no surprise. I think he made the most of his opportunity last year in the bowl game, played very well, and obviously, here from, I think, game 3 on for them has played at a high level, done some really good things, moving around, throwing the ball well like he does. And so it's, I don't wish him success on Saturday. Obviously, we're going to get out there and compete against each other, but I am happy for him. I'm glad that he's having success, and I'm not surprised. Man, I had no idea. I mean, not at their practices, not as, I know who their other quarterback is, but not as familiar as I am with him or as I am with Casey. So, hard for me to say. I can't speak to how it's went, but I think, him playing well in the bowl game, in fact, he's playing well, like we said, I don't think that's any surprise. The kid's a good player. He's a competitor, comes from a football family. So to see him hang in there, and do a good job with his opportunities, not surprising at all. Yeah, Bijan's a terrific player. He's, you watch him play, and he does so many things well. Catches the ball well for him. He's got big play ability, but he's got really nice balance, acceleration, good feel for the schemes that they're running. So, I think he's a complete player, and he's certainly playing at a high level, and he's getting, they're obviously putting it in his hands a lot, and he's produced. Schematically, obviously, it is a little different. In some ways, it's, when you run the quarterback, you add an extra hat, and so if you just draw up X's and O's on the board, there's some things that you feel like maybe you have a chance to be in a better spot numbers game-wise. But, the X that they're handing it to is pretty good, and so both very challenging in different ways. Just kind of constantly having the ability to get outnumbered by Ellinger in the run game over the years is I think been difficult for everybody, just because of how physical and relentless a runner he was. And then obviously, you got to rally and try to get this guy on the ground as quickly and as much as possible. So different challenges, but both unique, and both we've got to rise up defensively and play very well. I think you just got to be mentally prepared for it. We can't totally control what they end up doing, who they decide to give it to or feature. Or do they try to carry him more? Or do they try to carry him less? But you obviously know that they'll do it. They'll put it in his hands 35 or 40 times. And you're right, it's a little strange this day and age. You don't see that very often. Guys getting that many touches. It's kind of a little old school in a way. And but he's done a good job handling it so far. And listen, whether he touches it 40 times or he touches it 20 times or whatever, we've got to do a good job getting him on the ground that many times. That's the key. He's tough to handle. you're gonna have to get other hats there, because the first guy, you're not always going to get him with the first guy. He's too elusive and strong. And so, I think the key is like any great back, man. You got to try to get them stopped before they get started. Not get that momentum up, and then, you got to play with extreme effort. You got to be getting all the hats to the ball, because the times that he does, we got to have somebody else there to make it happen. They're doing a good job. They're doing a good job. We've got a good front. Some really, really big guys. A lot of strength on that front. And they've done a really nice job there. Played a couple of different linebackers through the year, but those guys are playing well. Zero's a really good player. Secondary is a mixture of some guys that we've seen for a long time now. Feels like a few of them been there for a long time, and then a couple new faces there as well. But they're playing well. I mean, I think they're tackling well. They've had some big plays. They've caused some turnovers. That was maybe the number one thing that stood out in the TCU game was the turnovers that they caused, and they were able to capitalize on. And obviously that being so important. So scheme-wise, they do a good job mixing it up. I mean, they really do. It's first time kind of going against this group, and you can see a lot of really good things they do, and why Pete and the guys have been very successful over the years. It's so hard year to year. I mean, I think to come in here and say that it's way better or way worse or anything in between. I don't know what I gain in even attempting that. I'm not in their locker room. I'm not that. I mean, this is a good Texas football team. We've played a lot of good Texas football teams over the years. So no disrespect to this team right now, and not any disrespect to the teams that we've played over the last several years. I mean, this game's always been a battle. They've obviously had some tremendous teams, some tremendous players. This year's group's doing a really nice job. I think they've improved as you've watched them throughout the year. They've obviously got some really good talent, which they typically do, and some guys that really show up on tape that we're going to have to do a great job against. So I think I'd leave it at that. Listen, there's some small schematic differences. I mean, it's like you said, it's new coordinators. I mean, you expected that, but are they just totally different offensively from what they've been in the past? Not totally. There's obviously differences, and I would say the same thing defensively. It's not like they went from the air raid to the triple option, or I mean, it's not drastic. There's small things you can tell that they favor more in their schemes, so I mean, I think it feels. I mean, with this game again, we all know you can throw records, you can throw everything out the door. I mean, it's about this Saturday at 11 o'clock and really nothing else. Both teams are going to be hungry and excited to play. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and typically you see both teams' best on this day. Yeah, I mean, the ride in, and obviously the atmosphere and all that was totally different. Both teams were in a weird place last year. I think, we were both down a lot of people. It was kind of a little bit of a shell of ourselves, both teams. So everything about it felt different until we kicked off. And then when we kicked off, it was like all the others. I mean, both teams left it all out there. The different momentum swings that you typically see in this game were obviously present. It was a nice, warm, muggy day in Dallas, like we always seem to get. And I see we have another one coming, which is good. It'll be. It's a heavy hitter, man. It was different until it got kicked off, and then from kickoff until the interception that ended it, it felt completely normal to me. Yeah, I mean, you noticed it pregame. I mean, you noticed just the difference in, like I said, driving into the stadium, all that. But once it kicked off, it got pretty rowdy, and then certainly there at the end, it was. I don't remember what the capacity was, but it got rocking in there pretty good. Honestly, I don't really think the SEC has a whole lot of impact on this game. That'll happen when it happens. I mean, this game, I don't know that you could add any more intensity or importance to this game. I mean, it's honestly in some ways maybe at times overblown. It's definitely not undersold, let's put it that way, by anybody on either side. It's an important game. We all love it. At the end of the day, this week is a great week. This game's going to be over at some point, and both teams are going to have to move on. And so it'll be a great game. It'll be a lot of fun. Again, you look forward to it, but there's a whole lot of season left for both teams when this thing's over. And, we've been on both sides of it. We've had a good run as of late. The one time in recent years that we didn't win this game, we went to the playoffs. We've had other times where we've won it, maybe not played as well after. I mean, it's big in the moment. It's obviously big this week. We're crazy excited to play it, but long way left to go in the season.
For more information, you can visit TulsaWorld.com.